Hello and welcome to Hughes at 10. I hope you can hear me. It is 8 minutes past 10 on the 12th, no, the 6th of December. Oh my God. Where's the time gone? It is Monday, the 6th of December, 2021. The year is nearly over and it's been almost as bad as the last one. It's quite impressive. Thought, oh, we're going to top 2020 for being bloody awful. And then 2021 started with a bunch of Trump supporters storming the Capitol building and trying to kill all of the people who are making the laws, elected to make the laws. Because a guy who failed to win his election is a grown baby child, man-child, who, spat his dummy out the pram and told all of his supporters to go out and smash shit up. Nice. Okay, big hi to John Barleycorn. Francis Winrow says, hello, finally have power in Hordern. Oh my God. So that's in County Durham. I think it's by near Peterlee. A lot of the places around where I live, including Usher Moor, not very far from where I live now, have been without power for a week. Some went without power are still without power to this day. If you go on Northern... Oh God, what's it called? Northern Power Gen or something. The website for the electricity around here. You'll be able to see. There's lots of there's lots of points on the map of places that have still got no power today. Okay. Chris Nill says hello. No, he says Hughes at 10ish. Well, 10 past 10. It's all right, isn't it? Alex Green says hello. Alexis G says hi, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Well, that's good news. Another storm coming tonight, so fingers crossed, says Gwyneth. Yes, we have Storm Barry, or whatever it's called. I realised that... where's my tea? I had a cup. I made myself a cup of tea. Where the hell did I put my tea? All right, I'm going to have to go and get this. Yes, we can hear you. Hello. Lord of the Cataclysm, loud and clear. Good evening, everyone. Great. Thank you, Graham. I hope to see you travel the world again. Hi to all, says ID. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to, mate. At some point, I'm hoping that's going to happen. Hello, everyone, says Tim Hicks. And we also have Tom Nelson saying hello. We have John Barleycorn saying, where does the time go? Probably down the back of the sofa. Indeed. All those missing pens and pennies. Good evening, everyone, says Context. Glasgow Kiss says same in the Highlands. Northern Power Grid. That's it. That's the one. Thank you. Thank you, Francis. Duke says maybe privatising important infrastructure wasn't the best idea. Do you think, Duke? Also, do you think that we would have been left without power for this long if we lived down south? I don't think we would. I don't think we would. I think it would be on the front cover of all the newspapers. Like this party that they had at number 10, which has been strangely ignored by certain areas of the press. Almost as though they had people there. Almost. And this weekend, we discovered that there were 12 swabs for cocaine in the House of Commons or in the Palace of Westminster. And they found traces of cocaine in 11 of them. 11 out of 12. That's almost a full set, isn't it? That's pretty horrific. And one of the toilets that one of the bathrooms they used was the one that is used by Priti Patel and her office. And another one was used by Alexander Boris the Pistol Johnson, or Virus Johnson, as I like to call him. Yes, apparently there's a lot of cocaine usage going on in those circles. No, this comes as no surprise to anybody, because as I've been banging on about since forever, the two biggest problems in our country that our country faces is a heady mixture of cocaine and the neo-aristocracy, or the privately educated, who seem to just dominate every day of my fucking life. Like every day, I open up Twitter, and the people, it says trending, they are almost always privately educated people either having a spat with each other, which is always fun, or saying something horrific. Saying something outrageous just to get clicks. Hey, don't you hate people of different ethnicities, eh? Aren't they annoying? Look at these clicks I'm getting. They don't need money. Obviously born into money. They live a life of leisure, and they're chosen leisure for a lot of them. Not all of them, obviously. Some people who went to private school, they're okay. But I'm not going to go on about this because there's a lot of other things to talk about tonight. But there is a sizable number of people who went to private school who are horrible, who are absolutely horrible. And they are people like Lawrence Fox. They're people like Andrew Neil. They're people like Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, Michael Gove. I mean, the list is, I wouldn't say it's endless, but there is a bloody big list that I've got up on one of my Google Sheets. If anyone wants to add to this, I'm not gonna pass the editable version on the chat here, just in case someone decides to delete it all. But I will share with you the version you can't edit. But I'll just get the link up for that, just while I'm talking. We've got loads more messages here. Northern Power Grid, maybe privatising. 2200 CT, indeed, context. John Barleycorn, I demand to have some tea. Evening, 140,646 and counting, says Walter Harrison. Walter, I owe you a book. It's in the cogs of emotion. I'll get you a book. I'll do that tomorrow. I had to do my accounting today, which was just horrific for the year of COVID. You know, from April last year to April this year. Oh my god! Oh my god! Anyway, I don't think Richmond, North Yorkshire would be left off. I was surprised anyone's surprised. Duke Vengeance says, "What the fuck is wrong with these people?" Well, you know. There you go. What is it? Anyway, so here on my Graham Hughes Politics channel, I've just linked a document there. Thanks to Ian, who filled out most of this actually. And on it, you will find a list of how many people? How many people now? 257 people from Aid Edmondson, who I quite like. Alan Carr, comedian, who I quite like. Alan Davis, apparently he's a comedian, don't like him. Alistair Campbell, Alistair Jack, Andrew Marr, Andrew Neil, Andy Wigmore, Bear Grylls, Ben Fogel, Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm just flicking through some of the names here. Charlie Faulkner, Clive Bull. I mean, the mad thing is on this is I can change it so I can A to Z any column and each thing has got what their profession is. And on the LBC presenter list, right, there's only about 17 people who are full-time presenters on LBC. And out of them, Andrew Castle, Camilla Tominey, Clive Bull, Daniel Barnett, Ian Payne, James O'Brien, Matt Fry, Matt Stadland, Nick Abbott, Nick Ferrari, Rachel Johnson, and Tom Swarbrick, that's 12 of them, all went to private school. They're supposed to be 7% of the population. Anyway, so yeah, all the heads of the big political parties, generally speaking, went to private school. One of the things that bothers me probably more than anything is that a lot of people who represent our country, in acting and sports and things like that, and in politics, all come from a very small pool, a very, very small elitist pool of elites. So this is part of my project, the eating disorder, how the privately educated ruin everything, run everything, run, I don't know, run or ruin. You choose what you want to call it. But not to say they're all bad. There's some good ones there. Some people on that list are actually, I regard as friends. But at the same time, too much power, way too much power in the hands of a select group of people that you can section off from the rest of society quite easily. I can't think of a better way of doing it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not like you go, oh, well, they're all white. They're not. You can go, oh, well, they're all born into money. Not necessarily. Some of them weren't. Some of them got in on a scholarship. As they like to remind you, if you ever point out how rum it is that everyone who's in charge of anything in this country went to private school. Anyway, right, I said I wasn't going to talk about it too much. Kevin Hegarty, welcome back, Graham. When did that happen? Indeed. In bullying culture like public school, the most toxic ones are the ones who succeed, so it encourages more and more. Yeah, it does. And also, if you send your kids to private school, they're more likely to be abused. So just don't. That's all I'm saying. Duke Vengeance, I didn't go to private school. My lordship was completely earned, I swear. I hope Duke Vengeance got his dukedom by killing the previous duke in a field of battle. John Barleycorn said, you got most of the GMB presenters, but I seem to recall that Ranveer Singh wasn't on there. Well, yeah, if anyone wants to add any to the list, if you meet me on the Discord chat after the show, Well, I will be doing Discord and I'll be chatting with you while I'm doing the dishes. So that'll be fun. You'll be able to hear the sound of me doing the dishes while I'm chatting to you on Discord because I haven't done the dishes yet. I didn't have time. It's one of the reasons why I was late coming down here. I was like, oh, just going to leave this. Yeah, hey, pedestrian life I lead. Yeah, if you want to join me on that, I will give you the link to the editable version of this document and you'll be able to add more names. If you want, just add them to the bottom. Don't feel like you've got to put them in alphabetical order because we can automatically put it in alphabetical order. First names. I'm not having this, surname first. Then because there's double-barreled names in there, and then there's people like Ian Duncan Smith. Actually, he didn't go to private school. He's got a huge chip on his shoulder because he didn't. But that's going off. But yeah, what is his surname Duncan Smith or is it Smith? Is it actually it's Smith? His middle name's Duncan. Anyway, Veg Pie, thank you very much. Veg Pie, I've been missing out on the action lately due to work. Well, thank you very much for your £4.49 super chat. And with that, I'm just going to go and try and grab my cup of tea. I think I left it on the shelf outside on the windowsill, just outside the room. I'll be back. I'll be back in one moment temporarily. I will leave you with the Hughes at 10 test card. Okay, I'll be back. You'll be able to hear me. You can still hear me. The mic's still on. I'm just going to check. I'm just going to get me tea. I'll be back. Yeah, I got my tea. Sorry. I just left it outside the room for some reason. I've got my tea. It's in a little thermos thing. It's going to be too hot, actually. I'm just going to leave that open over there. Does James O'Brien count as he got kicked out? Yes, he definitely does. Who else got kicked out? Lawrence Fox. He got kicked out of Harrow. Being a twat. James O'Brien got kicked out for drugs. I think he was a bit of a rave head back in the day. You know, one of those people, oh God. You know, those people who used to take ecstasy and then sweat a lot and try and hug you while they were all sweaty. Yeah. I never worked a rave, but I did work club nights at the Academy in Manchester, and we told no alcohol. If you've ever seen 48-Hour Party People with Steve Coogan, I really recommend that you haven't seen it, but he makes this point about the Hacienda made no money because everyone was on drugs, and people on drugs don't buy alcohol. They just want water. So we just sold loads and loads of bottles of water. But the bottles of water, we jacked up the price to like £2 a bottle. So we actually made more profit selling water than we would do on a normal club night selling beer on the dance club nights, the happy hardcore dance nights. But yeah, you go around trying to tidy the place up, collect some bottles or whatever. And random, very, very sweaty boys would try and hug you and gurn a lot. It was quite disturbing. But yes, he's someone who is very typical of that sort of this guy. I take drugs, but I went to a posh school, so I don't count. And if you ever see the fantastic episode of Brass Eye about drugs, which is absolutely hilarious, the cake episode, where they go on about this made-up drug called cake, and the bad thing about it is it's made up. It's a completely 100% made-up drug. And at the end of it, Christopher Morris, is Christopher Morris? Is that the guy? Yeah, I think so. He quite rightly says, I'm a heroin addict. He's not, but I'm a heroin addict, but I'm middle class, so it's okay. Injects himself in the arm, and that's the end of the show. And so the Tories today, or yesterday, have decided they're going to go after middle class junkies. They're going to go after middle class drug users. They're going to take their passports off them. That will show them. So they made it so you can't leave the country without a passport. Now they've made it so you can't leave the country with a passport if you've had your passport taken off you. Anyway, so this is really interesting because, as we know, the government, since 1971, have been targeting working class drug users and criminalising their behaviour and making it very difficult for drug users to get off the drugs. Making it harder than it should be. In somewhere like Switzerland or in Portugal, where they've had really great success at treating people on drugs as patients, as medical people, what are they called? Patients, that's not a doctor. As people who require medical assistance. Okay, let's put it that way. Rather than criminals, which is a good idea. But in the UK, we have had this thing where the middle class especially the upper middle class, have just had a free run of it. They've had a free run, and they take drugs every party they go to. Even in their 40s, they'll go to a house party and they'll do drugs, and it's quite depressing, really. But they seem to enjoy it, and they think it's not harming anyone. It fucking is harming someone. Somewhere along the line, that drug had to get from Bolivia or Colombia up their fucking nostrils, right? And that line is a line of blood. It's a trail of blood going from the hills of the mountains of Bolivia all the way through South America, maybe through West Africa, up into Europe, and then into the gangs, and then eventually it gets up your nose. So drugs piss me off. I wish they didn't exist, but they do. So we have to have a sensible way of dealing with it. The way that I would deal with it is I would legalize all the fuckers. I would just legalize them all. Legalize them and regulate them. And yes, I know that people won't feel like the hit they're allowed to have by the government is enough. And there'll still be a slight black market for it, but it will be so diminished. Because the bulk of people who need heroin will get their fucking heroin off the bloody, clinic where they get it from, and not off a drug dealer who's bought that stuff, well, not personally, but that stuff's been brought over from Afghanistan, which isn't somewhere you want to be buying stuff at the moment from, in the case of opioids and heroin and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what I like to see. But I thought, this is really interesting. The government are going after middle-class drug users. Middle-class drug users. Oh, yeah. You know why that is, don't you? Because they're not middle class. The Tories like to pretend they're middle class because that gets the middle class voters. But they're upper class. They are the neo-aristocracy. And they are above the law. They give a shit. Today it was revealed that the government are now trying to make it so they can backheel judicial review. So essentially, they will be above the law. Literally above the profession of law. They will be above judges making judgments on British law. So if the judges say, hey, this thing you've done is against British law, they can say, no, it's not, with the government. We can do it how we like. Which is exactly what the Nazis were doing in 1935. But the important thing to remember here is that they've already gone after working class drug users. Now they're going to go after, well, they say they're going to, they're not going to do shit. They're just fucking old fucking gob and no trousers. But like, they say they're going to go after the middle class drug users. But the reality is that even if they did, they're not going to go after the upper class drug users. The upper echelons, the privately educated, the Bullingdon Club, the Eton elite, the fuckers in charge of everything. They're not going to go after them. They can do what the fuck they like. Right? You, pleb, can't. And something I was reading recently, and it was in the context of Black Lives Matter. And I don't know if it's a bit sort of taken out, me talking about this, because obviously as a middle-class white guy, it might not be my place. But they talked about something that I thought was really interesting, and I see it a lot. Tone policing. Tone policing. When someone who feels like they are a higher caste than what you are, whether that is because of your socioeconomic standing, your accent, your colour of your skin, your religion, whatever, your ethnicity, they will regard any kind of pushback as you being uppity, as you having ideas above your station. You criticising them in any way gets right up their fucking nose. Christ. I thought, after reading that, I was like, bloody hell, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's not just people in, power doing this. It's like if you criticise anyone who thinks that they are above you. And we saw this today on LBC. Peter Hitchens, the wrong brother died. He was on the radio talking about drugs, and he thinks that all drugs should be made super illegal, and that drug users should all be thrown in jail, like they are in Japan, where you can face up to 7 years in jail for possessing cannabis. Great, cool. Japan also has the death penalty. I mean, I don't want to look up to Japan too much, and they did a great job fighting COVID, but when it comes to social issues, I'd rather not have the death penalty and 7 years for cannabis possession. But yeah, he's there. And he's talking to an LBC presenter, one of the few, I think Matt Stadler, was it? One of the few who didn't go to private school. And he's so fucking patronising. He is so like, let me finish. No. I'm going to report you to Ofcom for not letting me finish. So fucking entitled. Just listen to it when you get a chance. You're just sitting there going, you entitled little shit. I'm talking. I'm in charge. I went to a posh school, don't you know? Fucking hate them. Not all of them. Aid Edmondson. I mean, come on, he's one of my heroes. Michael Palin, he's one of my heroes as well. You know, a lot of the people on that fucking list, on the list that I put up on there, they're not the best. They're not sending the best, as a privately educated American once said. Number 3, thank you very much. An excellent title, Graham. Thank you. Reference to the Beastie Boys there. And the party that they had at number 10 on the 18th of December last year. A party that Cressida Dick, privately educated, will not prosecute or even look into, will not investigate because it happened in the past. First of all, she didn't get a letter. So everyone sent her letters. And they said, we're not going to investigate this retrospectively. We're not going to investigate things retrospectively. We don't investigate things that happened in the past. And you be driving along 70 miles an hour and get pulled over. Hey, it's the 30 zone. And you say, well, I'm not driving at 70 miles an hour right now, am I? You pull me over. Ha ha! I get away scot-free. Maybe you can only be done for future crimes. Maybe you can, I don't know. Well, you know, I murdered them 10 minutes ago, but it's been 10 minutes, so is there even a crime? And so Cressida Dick, who is very much balls deep in the whole of this disgusting system that runs the country, as privately educated system, people go, hey, the Masons, fuck the Masons, man. Don't let girls in the Masons, mate. Don't let women in the Masons, they don't let. But I go on the internet, right? And Kirsty Allsop, who's a twat, is all over the internet. She's done an interview for The Telegraph, which is edited by someone who's privately educated. She was probably interviewed by someone who's privately educated, and she is privately educated. She's a fucking dickhead. She's a talented twat who has no talent and no intelligence whatsoever, and yet she is like allowed to opine on COVID. Like she's a fucking doctor. Like she's a doctor. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, but she went to private school, Graham. You've got to listen to them. You've got to listen to the privately educated elite. So Cressida Dick, privately educated, not going to investigate. Boris Johnson, privately educated, and his comrades, privately educated pretty much. Or, in the case of people like Nadine Dorries, who actually had to go at James O'Brien for being privately educated, send their own children to private schools. Okay, you got the money to do that? You're part of the neo-aristocracy. Well done, you. Well done, you. It's all good. Anyway, it'll be 10 years late, billions over budget, won't work properly. Typical government IT project. Hi, Graham from Hyton. That's from Steve Douglas over there. Hello. If the government gives aid to Royal Ballet, will Bojo wear a tutu? There's a picture for you. Walter says the government are looking to deprive people of the British citizenship without notice. What the fuck? Co-Natsatori party, indeed. If cocaine is legalized, I guarantee Coca-Cola will put it back in the cola. Well, no, G-Pan, because it would be regulated like heroin is in Switzerland or in Portugal. And have clinics where you can get a set amount that you can't overdose on. A safe amount to take, if that's what you want to do. Just take the glamour out of it, take the criminality out of it. Criminals will have to find another way of making their ends meet, like, I don't know, becoming politicians or mates of politicians who can say, oh, I'm going to get you some PPE, mate, and get a £57 million contract. That's £57 million of taxpayers' money for PPE. That doesn't work. Or even better, doesn't even fucking exist. Someone made a lot of money out of that, and it wasn't you. I got my Duke done after an event called The Great Curse Betrayal. The city of Curse came under siege after being betrayed by another lord who was aiding the enemy. The city was saved by my mercenaries. Oh, excellent. Good. I like a good team of mercenaries going out and toppling, I don't know, the government of Equatorial Guinea, like Margaret Thatcher's child. Mark Thatcher once tried to do. That actually happened. Oh, my God. Asperger's says, I read a FT story about it today. The Kent access permit might soon make a comeback when EES is introduced, and all UK tax passport holders need to be fingerprinted at the border. Yes, but also they're going to start checking stuff coming into the country, aren't they? And the Express express themselves by telling people in the news today that this was an EU red tape coming in. EU red tape. No, dickheads. No, don't fucking lie, you pile of shite. It's not an EU rule. It's a British rule made by Britain, and it'll be carried out by British officers of the border. Nothing to do with the EU. We left the EU. Not part of it anymore. Got to check stuff coming in. Got to check stuff. Indeed. Heater pitchings. Indeed. Of course, Python exemptions. Well, yeah, I mean, looking down the list, you've also got Stephen Fry. You've also got Hugh Laurie. You've also got Ian Hislop. Ian Dunt as well, who's, does politics.co.uk, who's really good. Jenny Agutter, who was in Walkabout and Logan's Run, and her movies were shown on Channel 4 when I was at a formative age. What can I say? But also, like so many people called Jeremy. I mean, why are there so many people called Jeremy on this list? Clarkson, Corbyn, Hunt, Kyle, Paxman, Vine. I mean, there's just too many of them. Too many of them to count. Also, you've got people like Lance Foreman and Aaron Banks and Richard Tice and all those bastards. You've also got so-called entrepreneurs like Tim Martin. He's one of them. Like, there's three of them. Tim Martin, Boris Johnson, and he whose name he must not be named. They all have this thing where they want to connect with the commoner. They're privately educated. They're very rich. They've lived a life of comfort and delight and never really had to really do an honest day's work in their life. They're never worried about, scrabbling around down the back of the sofa to find 20p to put in the meter because it's so fucking cold and the heater's gone off because the electricity's gone off because you haven't put money in the meter. They never had to worry about that. Never in their lives. But they dress up scruffy. That's what they do. So that you can feel like they're just like you. Boris Johnson, he's just like you. Look at him all scruffy with his hair all scruffy. He looks like an unmade bed. He looks like he's been dragged through a hedge backwards, just like me. That's how they try to do it. And it works. Tim Martin, I mean, he does look like a village idiot. He looks like he should be sitting on a dry stone wall with a piece of fucking straw in his teeth, going, telling everyone, walking past, that he's got the moon in a bucket. But he's not. He's actually filthy fucking rich. He was born rich, went to a posh school, knew all the right people, could just buy as many puppets as he liked, and you got to speculate to accumulate. It's nice when you have something to speculate with. Anyway, Peter Hitchens, Christopher's talentless and jealous brother. Indeed. Does seem a bit mad, isn't it, that they're so different, especially over the religion thing. Like, Peter Hitchens, a massive religious nutter, whereas Christopher was obviously one of the world's most notorious atheists. And he wasn't always right. I didn't always agree with Christopher Hitchens. In fact, some things I seriously disagreed with him about, particularly the Iraq War, his take on the Iraq War. I thought was quite disingenuous. His excuse for it was that, because of the Kurds and the suffering of the Kurdish people. But the reality was, at the time of the beginning of the war in Iraq, the Kurdish Autonomous Region, northern Iraq, had been around for 12 years by that point. And the Iraqi government, led by Saddam Hussein, weren't really allowed up there. They just did, they were protected by Western peacekeeping forces. And citing that as an example of why we needed to invade a country to kill a guy, I think that's, why couldn't we just send an assassin? Why couldn't we just send James Bond? Why couldn't we just invite Saddam Hussein to a party and then giving him some poison Kool-Aid or something? I mean, you're trying to take out one person by killing 400,000. That doesn't seem like the right way to do things. Maybe I'm naive, but I'm sure there's more than one way to break an egg without actually having to make an omelette. John Barleycorn had a dream a while ago where I bought the Telegraph. Ooh, doesn't sound like a dream. Sounds like a nightmare. And gave security the instruction that if Boris the liar entered the building, they should physically throw him out. Preferably through a wall. That would be good. Meanwhile, Dominic Raab. So there was a party, but there wasn't a party. And the party did happen and the rules were followed despite the rules, stating that you couldn't have a party. Yes. And in the press conference this afternoon, Number 10 made it very clear that there was no party. And if there had been a party, they'd definitely follow the rules of not having a party because they didn't have a party. They totally had a party while people couldn't visit their dying mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and daughters and sons. They did that. They did that. They're the party. There were people whose parents or a parent were in hospital. They couldn't see them. They got to see them through a window for an hour. And their parent died alone, without their family around them, alone in a hospital. Meanwhile, the Tories had a fucking party. The Tory Reich had a fucking party. They were playing Twister, probably snorting coke. You know, look at some of them. Boris Johnson and Michael Gove in particular come across to me as massive cokeheads. If you've ever met a cokehead, they fit the bill. Braying wankers, far too much money, don't give a fuck about anything but themselves. Cokeheads, what can I say? They do seem to fit a type, don't they? And yeah, it comes as no surprise that they found all this cocaine in the House of Commons. And maybe to distract the fact that they found all this cocaine in the House of Commons, they've decided to redo the drug strategy to come down really tough on drug users. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah. Graham, I've been watching your travel vlogs. Great viewing. I look forward to more. Oh, thanks, Heidi. I'm currently in the process of setting up a few different YouTube channels because I do realise that it is a bit muddled, that there's stuff on this channel which is politics, there's stuff which is my old like music videos that I made for other people, for other bands. There's also short films that I made and things like that. There's also travel stuff. Oops, sorry. And then there's also Ginger Island as well. So, and there's also interviews of me on the TV talking about travel, usually. So, I'm trying to not condense, that's the wrong way. What's it called? You know, when a company breaks off into little companies, that kind of thing. It's the opposite of condense. I'm trying to expand the empire. No, that's not the word. I'm trying to make it so it's more sensible. So it's not all just random. And, you know, when a next video comes up, you're not leaping from Ginger Island to me swearing at Boris Johnson. And then the next video is an interview with me from 2009 on Grenada Tonight or something. So what I'm doing is I'm going to have 4 channels. 4 lights. It's Graham Hughes Politics, which is this one. Graham Hughes Films, which is going to be stuff that I film for other people. It's going to be Graham Hughes Travels, which is all my travel stuff. And then Ginger Island, which is just going to be its own little thing. Ginger Island. So yeah, that's going to be the plan. So say I've done an interview on TV about shortages of food because of Brexit, which I predicted very, very well. I said, it's not going to be the end of the world. There's just going to be a few products that you're not going to be able to get your hands on because there's going to be problems at the border. I actually said problems at the border. I didn't even think about the fact that there wouldn't be any lorry drivers. The problems at the border are going to start on the 1st of January. Wait till then. But yeah, vindicated. Absolutely vindicated. But yes, there you go. So if we're talking about that will go on Graham Hughes Politics. Whereas if I'm talking about my travels around the world, or if I'm talking about travelling without flying, for instance, that'll go on my Graham Hughes Travels channel, which I'm going to have to start building up from nothing. This channel, that this is going out at the moment, is going to become my usual Graham Hughes Politics channel. Always and forever. Anyway, so yeah, diversify. Thank you very much, GPan62 and Bioberg. I'm trying to diversify to different channels, but it's all going to be. You see, because you can subscribe. See, I just thought about this when I was doing the Ginger Island stuff, shouldn't I? Because if I had multiple channels, I could have put stuff out on different channels. And if you subscribe to all of them, think about it, you would get like notifications all through the day. As it was, you could only get 3 notifications in a day without, it stopping putting out notifications, which was fine normally because there was only supposed to be 3 starts to the show. There's supposed to be the Ginger Island, Ginger Vision, which is just, passive watching us what we were doing. Then there was Ginger Island Parlay. Oh, there's only supposed to be 2, wasn't there? I was going to say, and then there was Discord, but that's not on YouTube. Yeah, there's only supposed to be 2, maybe 3 at a push if we decided to do a morning session and an afternoon session of Ginger Vision, but it never ended up that way. And because we got the internet went off and things like that, we start again. And YouTube refused to send out notifications, which was a bit irritating, but I think we did quite well with the equipment that we had. Which is, something that you don't want someone to write about you on TripAdvisor after a night out. Asperger's says, things at the Channel Tunnel become way more interesting if French terminates the Touquet Agreement. Le Touquet Agreement, and ask the UK to repatriate its border controls to its own territory. Repatriate? Yes, you're right. So at the moment, there's this deal, which means that when you go through border control in, say, St. Pancras Station, you go through British passport control, and they check your passport. Then you go to French passport control, which is just a few meters further on, and they check your passport. And then you are free to go into France. You don't get stopped on the other side, okay? And the same thing happens on the other side, right? When you get on the train in Paris, you'll go through French passport, then you get British passport check, and then you can get on the train and come over, and you don't get stopped at the other side. The French stop this and say, hey, what are you doing? Britain, you gang of twats, stop being twats. I'll tell you what, why don't we just say you can't do this anymore? We don't want to do it. And you can check everyone coming into your country. There you go. But then they would have to do the same thing at their end. So, is it worth it? The extra hassle? I don't know. But it'd be interesting if they do decide to stop doing that. And depressing as well, because it means that it'd be harder to travel. And I want people to travel. I want people to travel sustainably, green as possible. Please take the train or the coach rather than flying if you can, or a boat. But, that's the sort of thing that only the filthy rich can usually afford to do, unless you manage to catch a lift on a cargo ship. But you can't do that at the moment because of COVID. But yes, indeed. A bit like Mark Wessling, indeed. Graham, you're trying to focus your channel in a particular direction. Yes, Kevin. So, the idea is that you have the politics one thing, and then the travel is one thing, and then Ginger Island is one thing, and the stuff because I need to start selling myself as a editor and film producer and not film producer, video producer, cameraman, camera op. Sorry, don't be sexist. Camera operator, lighting assistant, clapperboard loader, whatever you need me to do. Best boy, key grip. Ooh, got a good key grip. Whatever you need, I'm your man. I tell you what. Back in the day, when they worked on film, I have so much respect for the people who worked on film, real film. Oh my God, this is an absolute bloody nightmare. And very expensive. The cock-ups were incredibly expensive. And there were so many things to go wrong. Whereas with digital, it's a lot of things that go wrong, but at the end of the day, it's not going to, you can just, record a bit more. You're not going to run out of film, You accidentally expose the memory card to daylight and it's going to disappear. Like the film. Anyway, back to your comments, back to your lovely comments. If anyone wants to drop a super chat in, I would be eternally grateful. Obviously, I've not been doing as many shows recently, so super chats have obviously gone off a bit of a cliff. And also, I will be getting back on schedule soon. I don't want to promise anything before Christmas because I really do need to get a job, and a lot of my focus over the last couple of weeks, I only got back from the island just over 2 weeks ago, but a lot of my focus since I got back has been trying to just get my shit together, get all my shit together, put it in my backpack, put it in a museum about to get all my shit together, and sort out my CV and work out covering letters and start looking for actual paid jobs because I desperately need one. So yeah, I'm not going to promise anything before Christmas, but what I'm hoping is in the new year, I'll have a beautiful schedule set up for you, doing videos once a week on maybe each channel that I have, and because I would like to do on Graham Hughes Films, I'd like to talk about films because it's a subject close to my heart, and I know if Charlie's watching this, I know you'll enjoy that, mate. I'd like to talk about filmmaking. I'd like to talk about movies. I'd like to talk about how films are put together and what makes them work and what makes them not work. And I find all that kind of interesting. I talk about script writing and talk about specific scenes in movies and why they're so powerful and what they directed and the little stories behind them and all that kind of stuff. Because I was just there at the right time. I mean, I don't know, like, obviously looking back, everything makes sense at the time. It was just things that were new. But DVDs aren't really a thing anymore, which is sad, because I loved the extras that you got on DVDs, the director's commentaries, especially from my favourite films. I mean, I always felt like for VHS, what was the point of owning a movie on VHS? It would probably come on TV at some point. And yeah, the quality was crap. But with DVDs, if it was a film that you really liked, especially like stuff like Lord of the Rings and stuff, there was just so much stuff in the extras. But you don't get that anymore with streaming. So there was this wonderful sort of 10-year block between sort of 1997 and 2007 when you had this extra information about films and filmmaking and how these films were put together and the funny stories behind them. And that's kind of been lost now to this new generation coming up, because they just find what they want on Netflix and press play. And they just see that movie. I don't know if they do commentary tracks. I mean, I haven't seen any. Maybe they do. But yeah, I'd like to talk about movies. So I'm thinking, have a politics show, Hughes at 10. Talking politics, have a show talking about films, what new releases have come out. I don't know if you know this, but I was one of the original, not the original, but I was one of the reviewers on Channel 4's Movie Watch with Johnny Vaughan, also privately educated, by the way, just throw that in, as was Denise Van Outen. But yeah, the Johnny Vaughan, lovely guy, lovely guy, and yeah, I was on it 3 times. I was invited back to be on the very, very ever last show of Movie Watch, which came out in 1998, I think. And the last film that we reviewed was Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams. The late, great Robin Williams and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And yeah, we decided to give it, we all gave it 10 out of 10, which was very unusual for a movie on Movie Watch. It was very, very unusual to get a full 40 score, but we thought, well, it's the last episode, and it was a good film. It was it was a good film. It was written by a couple of 20-somethings, and I know they were, already acting and stuff. They were in movies like School Ties and stuff by that point, but yeah, good movie, gotta say. Anyway, so we gave it the full 10 out of 10, all of us. But yeah, so yeah, my sort of love of films and reviewing films and talking about films goes back a long way, and I'd like to sort of revive that. So do a politics show, do a film show for the other channel, just do like one live show for each thing, and do something about travel each week, which I'm going to be doing with Hughes of the World anyway. And finally, for Ginger Island, I would like to be doing some Ginger Island videos, not just putting up footage from what I got when Marcus and I were on the island together, but also doing sort of a bit of a live chat and questions and answer sessions about the island and things like that. I don't know how well subscribed that would be, but I'd like to give it a go. See how it gets on. Right, back into your comments here. Asperger's says the import checks might well be delayed again, but the rules of origin requirements for GB exports to the EU will kick in. Graham, make a video resume, sell yourself. Thanks, number 3, for that £2 super chat. A video resume. Yeah, I should do that. Thing is, though, it's just, there's so much stuff. It kind of hurts me head. Like, there's just so much content. I've been filming stuff since 1998. Pretty much I won't say every day, but I've filmed a fuckload of stuff. I have, in this room, I have 7 big boxes full of tapes, full of little tiny tapes, mini DVs, and also digital 8. But yeah, and I've got a stack of hard drives. Like, there's so much stuff. But yeah, you're right. I should get onto that. It used to take ages for films to come on the telly sometimes. Mary Poppins TV premiere was in 1984. Bloody hell, that's insane. Lots of plans anytime for book writing, Pineapple. But yes, and I was Pineapple. I was actually talking to Catherine about this just yesterday. One of the reasons why I want to make it so that I have a regular income with a job, like a 9-to-5 job during the week, is because I want to be able to dedicate my Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings to writing my book. and I'm thinking this middle book is only going to be 26 chapters. It's all sketched out. I mean, it's all written out, really. It's all a case of editing more than anything else. But Top of the World, which is the sequel to Man of the World, realistically, if I crack on with it, doing a chapter each weekend in 2022, I should be able to have it finished by halfway through the year. So that's my hope. Whether I get to that or not, I don't know. But getting a full-time job is very much part of being able to just dedicate time to writing the book and not having to worry about scrabbling together money to pay the bills every week. It will just be nice to have that knowledge that I will get a paycheck at the end of the week and it won't vary and I won't have to hustle for it. So that'd be good. I've got a message here from who was it? Who wrote? This is from Kevin Hegarty, and it's really sad. Sorry, Kevin, to hear this. Mum passed away 2 weeks ago. She picked up a superbug CP in hospital, which is antibiotic resistant, nothing to do with COVID. It was like watching firemen throw water balloons at a burning home. Oh, God. I'm so sorry, Kevin. Keep your dad out of hospital as long as you can. Kevin, as you know, my dad went to hospital last year in September. He got out and he didn't have COVID when he got out of the hospital. He was tested. He was actually kept in hospital a bit longer because there was a COVID case in the hospital. But he didn't get it then. It was when he got home and we had the care workers coming in and they weren't wearing any PPE or they were wearing minimal PPE and not wearing it properly. And they weren't being tested and they were going from house to house of vulnerable people, which is how he got it. My dad's still with us. It's his birthday next week, which is remarkable, this weekend. So I'll be heading back to Liverpool for the weekend to see him. And it's just so sad. But I've got to say, look, in the last year, I've lost 3 people. Not, as I say, I lost 3 people. I know 3 people who have died in the last since COVID started in March last year, and those 3 people. None of them died of COVID, and none of them had COVID on the death certificate. These Walter Wankshafts who say, oh, they just put COVID on the death certificates, even though it wasn't really COVID, because they just want to push the numbers up to make you scared. They're talking absolute fucking hogwash. These people are professionals who do this job. They're not going to put COVID down on a death certificate unless it was a factor in that person's death. And the 3 people I know who died of different things, but they didn't die of COVID, and it wasn't on the death certificate. I'm really sorry to hear that, Kevin. That's really sad, and it's so frustrating at the same time that a lot of what's been happening in the last few years, it probably was avoidable. It probably was avoidable. I don't know. Look, I'm not a doctor and I won't step on their toes, but picking up a superbug in a hospital, I mean, fuck. Sorry, man. Okay, Bearberg says you can take the train from London to Ankara, book it while you have the chance. That sounds really cool. I'd quite like to do that journey, actually. I'll give Judge Rinder a call, see if he wants to do it with me. Pineapple Boy, if you want to apply for asylum in the UK, the change is perfect because you do want to do that on UK soil. Yeah, indeed. John Barleycorn says compartmentalization. Yes, John, compartmentalization. That's what we need. I worked on film, says Veg Pie. Oh, respect, Veg Pie, for working on film. It's a fucking nightmare. It's an absolute fuck. Well, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's magic. It's literally magic. But a lot more magical than digital, I feel. There's certain presence to film, real film. But, old romantic and think, oh, yeah, you're in the cinema. However, having said that, the last film I went to see at the cinema with my dad before he became a bit too ill to take to the cinema was Dunkirk by Christopher Nolan. And we went to see a 70mm print or something. It was either 35 or 70mm print. It was shite. Like the quality, it was really noticeable. I suppose after several years of just seeing digital films, going back to films on film. Films on film. That's Duran Duran, wasn't it? It was awful. Like the quality, it was just all over the place, and it was out of focus in places. And I don't know whether it was the projectionist was just not used to using film and was just a bit crap or whatever. But just it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Pineapple Boy. Pineapple Boy, £1.79, top of the world by the 30th of the 6th, 22. Deal. Okay, that's my deadline. Thank you for giving me a deadline, Pineapple Boy. No, seriously, I respond very well to deadlines, believe me. Happy 10th anniversary of the Lucky Underpants incident in Wallace, says Odyssey Expedition Deep Cuts. So this was the time I was on Wallace, of Wallace and Fortuna fame, a couple of islands that are in the Pacific Ocean that are owned by France, and I was on Wallace, and I decided to go and see this lake that they have, which is a crater lake. I don't know, it had walls going down into this lake, and I wanted to get close to it, and there's no public footpath or anything like that. You know, it's not really set up for tourism. There's only like 2 people and a donkey live on this island, and I was picking my way through the trees, and it was it's getting quite steep, and that's just slipped, and honestly, I didn't know how close to the edge I was, and my underpants got snagged because my pants were my trousers were a bit lower than my underpants, and my underwear got snagged on a branch or a root or something, and basically stopped me, ripped my underwear. Entirely, it's like something of a cartoon, because it's like the elastic bit went, and I was on my own, no mobile phone service where I was. I hadn't told anyone I was going there. Might have been an idea. So basically, if I'd fallen into this bloody lake, I don't think there would be any way out of it, and I don't think I would have survived. I was like, that would be it. That would be the end of me. And I was essentially saved, because the walls around it, just imagine like a big hole with water in the hole. At a certain level, just steep walls, like a giant well. It was a bit like that. Thankfully I didn't fall in. So thanks for reminding me of that. And what I should have done, and I'm kicking myself. There's a few things in life that I kick myself over. One of the big ones is not getting an EU passport before they change them into the blue ones. Really, really upset about that. Not just because it's now a British passport and not an EU passport. Not just because they changed the colour. I'm not that arsed. What I'm asked about is the fact that they changed the design inside from this beautiful booklet that someone has spent a lot of time and effort making the passport. So my last passport was from 2014, and it was still when they were doing the weather passport, which I quite like the weather passport, just because it's got a little thermometer at the top on the line here, on the crease, sorry, and the thermometer mercury goes up depending on what page you're on. So if you're on page 29, it's at 29 degrees. And then if you're on 32, it's on 33, it's on 33 degrees. Actually, when you get to 33, because it's that's on Celsius. When you get to 35, which you only have if you've got a bumper passport, it goes back to zero. It goes back to zero. No, it doesn't. It goes to 35 Fahrenheit, because it's got a Fahrenheit scale. It's just very clever. Anyway, so the passport that came out, I think in 2015 or 2016, had all these different landmarks around the country on each page. It was all like these beautiful drawings. It had Liverpool Anglican Cathedral, like the Angel of the North. It had like the Red Telephone Box, by Giles Gilbert Scott, sorry. Just amazing. Like every page was just, it obviously spent a lot of time and energy into making this passport really, really beautiful. The last beautiful British passport. And then they gave the contract to some other company in France, I think. And they've just gone back to having like a rose decal in the middle of it. Is that the right word? In the middle of the page, which is what we used to have in the 90s. And it's shite. Thomas, are you going to team up with a different bias and Maximilian Robespierre for a pubcast? Yes, that's a very good idea, Thomas. I think I should do that. Yeah. So we did, me and Max and Phil did we did one of those Road to Rejoin webinars for Grassroots for Europe, where I was kind of like just I wasn't commenting. I was just the MC, if you like. But yeah, it would be nice to have a discussion, the three of us. So I'll try and set that up probably for the new year. To be honest with you, I mean, the run up to Christmas and everything. Don't forget, I've got 2 stepdaughters now, which I've acquired. I've got a lot of stuff to do, and yeah, I'm starting with getting a job. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But in the new year, definitely. And one thing I want to do before the end of the year, because I wanted to do it last year, and I bought seeyounexttuesday.com, and I never actually did it. Sorry, seeyounexttuesdayawards.com. I wanted to do the See You Next Tuesday Awards. So we'll do this together on Discord, I think. We'll have a discussion about it. We'll come up with categories. And basically, it's all the people who are the biggest cunts of the year. And so for each category, we'll have like 5 nominees, and then I'll do a show where, I'll get a green screen. I'll use the green screen to be like an auditorium or something. I'll make a little podium, a little, See You Next Tuesday design logo on it. And basically it's going to be, an award show for the biggest fuckers of the year. And maybe I'll try and get Max and I don't know, Phil. Phil's a bit straight-laced, isn't he? He's a teacher. Maybe I'll talk to Supertansky. See if she wants to nominate someone. I'm sure she would like that. Anyway, Duke Vengeance. The people around here still aren't wearing masks in shops. Yeah. There's a woman in the corner shop here the other day. I was wearing a mask. She's like, I'm not wearing a mask. And I was like, I just flew in from South Africa. That was quite fun. What? Is the latest Matrix out yet? I don't think so. Matrix Resurrections? Resurrections, yeah. I don't know about revisiting these old movies. Ghostbusters was all right. Went to see James Bond, finally, on Thursday. With Catherine. We finally got subtitles showing. Yes. Because it's very difficult. Like, we want to go and see the new Spider-Man movie. And there isn't a single showing of Spider-Man anywhere in the country on the Friday and Saturday nights when it comes out. Not a single one. I saw about this the other day. I was just saying, imagine on the Friday and Saturday night of a big film coming out, they took all the disabled ramps away. It's the equivalent of what they're doing. The fuck's the disabled plan? Sorry, if you're deaf, you cannot come and see this movie on these specific days because we need money, you see, and you're not making us money. So you've got like Hawkeye, which now has a deaf character, Echo, who's played by a deaf actress, which is fantastic and it's inclusive and I like it. But at the same time, if you are actually deaf, like the actress who plays Echo or the woman on Strictly Dancing at the moment, you can't go to the cinema to go and see that bloody Marvel movie on the Friday and Saturday night. So we're having to go on like a Monday afternoon. Luckily, the kids are off school, so we can take them. But normally that wouldn't be applicable because Catherine would be working. She works full time. The kids will be in school. Painful. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to go and see it on the Monday afterwards because we're second-class citizens, you see. Thanks. I forgot, Rob. Can we have all 6? Yes, you can. Jamie Mack, as an introvert, I never wanted to do another job interview in my life, so good luck to you, Graham. The thing is, I don't mind doing, I don't think, have I ever done a job interview? I don't know. You see, because my experience is more pitching stuff, like going in and pitching ideas and, saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, concepts and scripts and stuff like that. It's been a pitch. It's not really been doing an interview. But having said that, my partner, she's brilliant at interview techniques and stuff like that. And she actually used to interview people for jobs. And she still does, actually. So she's been on both sides of it, so she knows what people are looking for and what you need to say and what you don't need to say. The only advice that I and say that I've been given, that I always try and state, that I always try and think about, not necessarily when I'm doing a job interview, but I was told to do this if I ever have a job interview, but I always do this when I meet someone new, especially if they're sexy, which is just don't say anything negative. Just don't say anything negative, not about yourself, not about anyone else. Just don't say anything negative. Just keep everything positive. Keep the positive vibes going. Don't complain. Don't bitch. Don't say, yeah. So if I'm going for a job, I've got to not mention the government. I've got to not mention the fucking Tories. Anyway, have you seen The Last Duel, or are you pissed off at Ridley Scott? I'm not pissed off at Ridley Scott, although he did make Prometheus, which was bloody awful. I haven't seen The Last Duel. He made The Duelists, didn't he? That was one of his early films before he made Alien. He made a movie called The Duelists, which is interesting because Steven Spielberg, his first Hollywood movie was Duel, which was about a truck driver. Well, it wasn't. It was about a guy in a car being menaced by a truck driver, and that gave him the opportunity to go and make Jaws. But yeah, Tom Nelson should have said, yeah, that'll explain why I can smell your bad breath. Indeed. Okay, so I am going to do the dishes now. Sexy, I know. And so what I'm going to say to you is, if you would like to join us on the Discord server, you are very welcome to join us there. And we can continue the discussion. We can bitch about the Tories. We can talk about what needs to be done in the world. We can, GSD, get shit done. So it's the Rejoin EU website. And obviously next year, hopefully before they bring in these draconian protest rules, we do need to be getting out there and protesting against the government. So, yeah, I'll be helping out with that, obviously. But if you'd like to go on this link, which will stop working after 12 hours. So if you're watching this on catch-up, sorry, it's not going to work. But that will invite you to Rejoin EU. You can go there on your browser. You can go there on your phone. You can use the app. You can use the laptop app as well, if you so fancy. Yeah, Duke Vengeance says, oh shit. I don't know why Duke Vengeance says, oh shit. Why'd you say, oh shit, Duke Vengeance? Tell me. Anyway, I don't know what Ridley Scott's done to piss me off. Is he a Brexiteer? I feel really sorry for Ridley Scott because his brother killed himself, didn't he? Tony Scott. He's a really good filmmaker as well. Big Crimson Tide and Top Gun. Top Gun was a Tony Scott film. That will be a bitch to fix. What's that? Or will be a bitch to fix? I don't know. Don't know what I was talking about. Sorry, Duke. I missed you. But yeah, so just to answer sort of questions about what's happening next in terms of stuff online, I'm hoping to do 4 live shows a week. Probably I might bring them a little bit earlier to half 9, so I can finish them a little bit earlier. Yeah, I'm hoping to do, well, actually the Ginger Island stuff, probably don't need to be doing a live show about that every week. So probably like 3 shows a week, travel 1, politics 1, and a movie 1 about films. Scott blamed young people for his low box office. Well, I mean, okay. So there's a thing about old people, and don't at me about being ageist, all right? The thing is this. A lot of old people suffer from hearing problems. Did you hear me at the back? A lot of old people suffer from hearing problems. Do you think they're going to spend money to go and see your fucking film when they can't hear it and there are no subtitle showings? 1%. 1% of film screenings in the United Kingdom have subtitles. Of them, only 1% are on Friday or Saturday nights. So, if you want older people to go see your fucking films, put fucking subtitles on them, Ridley, okay? Also, let's be sensible here. older people don't go to the cinema. In fact, people don't go to the cinema. Before COVID happened, the number of cinema attendances a year was 65 million. And that sounds like a lot of trips to the cinema, doesn't it? Except when you factor in the fact that the population of the country is around 65 million, which means on average, the average punter goes to the cinema once a year. Once a fucking year. And the people who go to the cinema are generally under the age of 35, which is why nearly all films that come out are marketed towards people of the age of 12 to 35. That's the cutoff. Because people over the age of 35 don't go to the cinema very much. I know some do. Don't at me. I'm not being absolutist about this. I'm saying the vast majority of people over the age of 35 don't go to the cinema like once a week. Like a crazy person. Like I used to before I turned 35. Oh, shit. Anyway, the point being, Ridley Scott complaining about young people not seeing his film. I mean, what? That just seems a bit weird to me, because you should know that the whole of Hollywood is geared towards getting young people to go to the cinema to go and see your film, because older people just don't do that. It's just too much freaking hassle. They can stay at home and watch Netflix instead. So there you go. Indeed, indeed. Oh, some bloody creeper's blown a hole in my roof, and now the Undercity has a massive leak. Are you playing Minecraft? All right, what's that, Sonny? G-Pan says, Scott thinks young people only like comic book movies, so they didn't go and see The Last Duel. No, the only people who go to the cinema are young people. So make films that young people are going to like. Sorry. And, hats off to them. The Marvel comic book movies, they're pretty good. They're not terrible. The DC movies, pretty terrible. I used to download musicals like Mary Poppins for Mum on USB with subtitles on so you could watch them on her TV. If you ever watch Mary Poppins with the subtitles are wrong. The subtitles are from the script, I think, and they're not taken from what actually people say on the film. It's kind of bizarre. And also, Catherine was telling me that they used to do this with subtitles, is they used to not use big words in the subtitles. And this goes back to the idea that people who had hearing problems were also thick as pig shit, which is a horrible mindset that people had in the 1960s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And even quite recently, people treat people who are deaf as if they are morons. Whereas the morons are the people who are running the country. They're not people who are deaf. And, having a partner who has a fucking PhD in physics who's deaf, it's kind of like, can you all fuck off now, please? Because it's kind of like, oh, well, we have to simplify the subtitles for the deaf people because, they can't read big words. Because your ability to hear affects how you can read. Anyway, yeah, indeed. So that's why I haven't been going to a movie for years. We've got a book upstairs, which is all got all the signs, well, BSL, a lot of stuff for signs for me and Catherine, so we can sign to each other. It's in fucking Comic Sans. I was like, is this for children? Is this for... No, it's not for children. It's not for fucking children. Why is it Comic fucking Sans? We know why it's in Comic Sans. Ableism, right there. Lol, took my daughter 12th of June. I'm in Sweden. All movies are subtitled and she liked it. That's what you need to do. Just go and see subtitled movies. Ableism at its finest, says 100 Cheese Plant Nursery. Indeed. But when the BSL, or that's not my thing, when whoever puts together a book of BSL, British Sign Language, and they decide to use Comic Sans as a font, someone's made that decision to tap deaf people on the head and go, the book for you. We've written it in children's font, so you can, I know you got a fucking degree in... Sorry, I know you got a PhD in physics, but, Comic Sans. Fuckers. Better hard of hearing than hard of feeling or hard of thinking. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. There's a difference between deaf and dumb. Well, yeah, I mean, still on the statute books for the House of Parliament, I'm going to say this before I go, you're not allowed to be deaf and be a MP. They still haven't overturned this rule. They say when you stand to be an MP that it doesn't count anymore, and that that's not a thing that they regard as a rule, but it's still a rule. Nice. Anyway, right. So thank you very much, very, very, very much for watching. I am going to leave you with a list of my lovely patrons. I don't know what happened to my voice there. My lovely patrons. Oh, that sounds weird and pervy. And I will return on Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon to scream obscenities at Boris Johnson during PMQs. Hopefully, I'll see you then. If you want to see me before then, or at least hear my dulcet tones while I do the dishes, head on over to the Discord server, on which I will be for the next half an hour or so. So, yes, thank you for joining me. And as always, big, big thanks to my patrons. Big thanks to everyone watching, commenting. And thanks to all the super chats. And yeah, until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.